right, good morning. It's good to see you on this beautiful Monday. So it's a miracle that we are up and alive today. And as always, thank you so much for joining us. This is my doctor, and my name is Winnie Lubambe. So today we want to talk about something really, really interesting, and we're so excited about, and that is on multiple pregnancies. And when it comes to multiple pregnancies, there's so many things that are associated with this, and so many myths surrounding it, and of course also so many truths. And that is what we'll be discussing today. And if you are like me, who, let's say, wants twins, but then again, you're not too sure how it comes about, or if it's in your family, does it mean that you will automatically get twins or multiple, babies at the same time? Well, stick around until the end of the show so that we can understand more on multiple pregnancies. And as always, we're live. So that means if you have any other question in relation to today's topic, and that is on multiple pregnancies, then feel free to call us live or 791-478990, or send us a text message on 40920. And of course, we'll be answering your questions as soon as we get them. And my guest today, I don't know where she went to, so let's just find out more on the same. Good morning, Dr. Maureen.
Good morning, Winnie.
You have to tell us where you were, because it's been such a long time.
Nimekwatu area.
Nimekwatu area. Okay. Ama, you went with Kipchoge to Vienna.
I wish, but I was with him in spirit.
Yeah. But how are you today?
I'm very fine.
We're really, really happy to see you. But just in case there's some people who are like, okay, Dr. Maureen left and she went, just say hi to them.
Hi, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Maureen Owiti. I'm an obstetrician gynecologist.
Yes, and we're happy to see you. Now, multiple pregnancies. And can we just start with the basics? What does it mean? Because you see, for us, most of us think that when we talk about multiple pregnancy, of course, the first thing that comes to mind is twins, and then that's it. So what does it mean?
Okay. I think the human being was made that in the normal instance, a human being carries one. We're not like rabbits or pigs that carry 20 babies all at the same time. But the tendency for the human being is to always carry one baby. The moment we have more than one baby, that's what we call a multiple gestation. And of course, the most common would obviously be twins.
Yes.
So that's when we have two babies rather than one. We have rarer triplets. And I think, I'm not sure what the highest is exactly, but I know there was some American lady who was recorded to have gotten 8. And I think in India, there's someone I think who delivered, was it 12 or 13 babies from one person?
Okay.
I wouldn't want to be that person.
Seems a lot, and you can imagine like the amount of weight she's carrying, and especially during pregnancy. But I think we'll talk about that in terms of are there risks associated with the same in terms of complications and all those things. Now, the biggest thing that, of course, people usually ask is then, how does it occur? Does it always have to be in your family lineage, or, and especially those cases where someone has like triplets or quadruplets or quintuplets, all moving forward? How does it occur? Is it in family lineage or?
Okay, so we'll say like for higher order pregnancies, so that'll be the triplets going onwards. Those are usually sporadic. What does tend to run in families are twins. And that seems to have a family history. Even you find when we're taking our obstetric history, we'd always ask the woman if there's anyone in her family who has twins. So that can run in families. However, twins can also be something that happens sporadically, that there's no history and all of a sudden you have twins. And this tends to happen more often in older women. So in as much as I don't tell people, I'd always encourage people to have children when you're younger. You have a higher chance of twinning when you're older, above 40.
Why? Yes. Why is that? Because, we'll get excited. We'll be like, I'm going to wait until 40, but
I wouldn't
don't.
Advise, you have the opposite problem.
Yes, true. Okay, so then just to make it then very, very clear, because when it comes to, and especially for identical, most people think that, for you to have identical, of course, it has to run through the family, but that is not the case most of the time. Okay, fraternal. It has to run through the family. But then again, there's some people who will tell you, but wait, I come from, let's say, a family with twins, and I do not have one, all right? So what usually happens in that you'd find one has and the other one doesn't, or let's say someone comes from a family where there's twins, and it doesn't continue. It stops, let's say, with them. What usually happens? and especially for the fraternal case?
Probably that will be a very good topic for research, okay? But there's a strong association, one family, and even among Africans, I think black race actually has the highest incidence of twins in the world, with the highest actually being in Nigeria.
Okay.
Yes. So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know
why.
I don't know what
do
they
do
over there.
What do they do?
So as I said, it's again race related and also family related. So you find that incidence will be higher. Why exactly? I look at my own case. I'm a twin, though unfortunately I lost my twin when we were about 3 days old. So I didn't grow up as a twin. I grew up as a singleton birth. We're twin pregnancy, but a singleton births. And probably when we get to complications, that's one of the complications for twinning. We were born very, very early. And unfortunately, he was not able to make it. What we call prematurity. But back to the question, I don't know the exact mechanism as to why. So if I look at my mother's family, my grandmother was a twin. Okay. And she had 12 children, none of whom were twins.
Were twins.
And we tend to believe it runs through your mother's side of the family. My mother has 7 sisters, so there are 7 girls in total.
7 girls, okay.
And she's the only one who has twins. So we really can't explain why she's the only one who got this gene, but we're sure it came from my grandmother because my grandmother was a twin. So it's just nature, I think, selection, the way somebody will get in the family. Somebody will be tall, the other one will be short, the other one will get the dimple, the other will get the mwanya.
Okay, but then again, I mean, we were discussing this before we came on air, and that aspect of then it skips a generation. And is that true, really? I mean, because some of us want twins, but we're scared, like if it skips a generation, because again, my mom is a twin, but yeah, we never met the other twin. I think he passed on as well. And then in our family, there's no twin. So I am like, since I'm the only girl, then I better have twins. So yeah, does it get to that point where it skips a generation, or? Okay,
it's like these things of genetics. You do have that type of pattern. In some families, it will run like that. In some families, it will run that it's every generation they're getting twins. So it's not something that's very specific. So it just depends how the pattern is in your family.
Oh, okay. All right. And then again, for identical, again, there's some people who still think that it also has to run in the family. Are there chances, though, that let's say if there are fraternal twins or even identical twins in a family, chances are that one might get identical, or it's strictly nature? Nobody understands.
Okay. So in terms of the identical twin, that again is more of a sporadic nature. You find that it doesn't tend to really run in the family. Okay. It just happens that in terms of when the baby is dividing, something happens, and you now get the identical twins. So you find in identical twins, they came from one embryo, vis-a-vis the fraternal twins, who you get 2 separate eggs that are fertilized individually and 2 different individuals. They may look alike, but they're not necessarily identical, because you do have some siblings that look almost, you can't tell, and there are 2 or 3 years apart, and you're like, okay, what's happening over here?
Yes.
But for identical twins, it's purely, it's one embryo that has split and divided to form 2 separate individuals. So their genetic material is actually exactly the same. But you find with environmental changes and things like that and development, they'll have one or some slight differences.
But it's very difficult for people to pick unless you sort of know them very well or hang around them all the time. Then you can.
I don't know if my client is watching, but I once had an incident whereby one of my clients, her husband is a twin. Okay. And we delivered her. So via cesarean section. So I'm coming very happy to give the report to the husband that everything has gone well. And I meet this person and I start the talk. And as I'm talking, I see somebody who looks exactly like him. And I'm wondering, okay. and
so
they
you
look
get
exactly alike.
the same.
So
Yeah.
you don't get confused. She's like, they know them, but I think
yeah.
when you stay with them, you tend to get the specific
And
peculiarities.
it's really, really interesting, especially for the identical twinning. I mean, those, an article some time back where they were saying that there were twins, identical, separated at birth, and then, of course, raised by different parents. And they ended up having the same dog and gave the dog the same name, married women, I think, either were twins or had the same name, and they got married at the same time. So it's just a whole dynamic on this theme. Yes,
it's a
and
true story.
and they were in 2 different states, far apart, way far apart.
Wow.
And yeah, it's just, anyways. So, and still on the same in terms of twinning, then can we understand how it happens? Because again, a friend of mine has fraternal twin girls, all right, and because when we talk about fraternal, we always know it's a girl and a boy, or yeah, and then when it's like a boy or a girl and then we tend to think it's identical. But for her, it's just interesting how it happened, and I'll not go into it because she'll kill me. But yeah, so she has like fraternal but girls, and they are like 5 days apart. So can we just talk about how this happens, and especially after, of course, the sperm and the egg meet and all those things, and then divide and whatnot. How does it happen so that we have these two? Yeah.
So I think tackling the fraternal twins will be easier.
Yeah.
Normally, you'll find actually at the beginning of the cycle, a woman has several eggs that are ready to go into maturation to develop to what will eventually ovulate for that cycle.
Okay.
And various hormones, you find that generally one egg tends to become dominant. But you find in those people who are having fraternal twins, you'll have more than one egg maintain dominance.
All right.
So it's like you have 2, you said even you can have triplets or even 3.
Yeah.
And in nature, that can happen.
Okay.
Though usually because of the hormonal event, we tend to just have one, and that's what happens in most cases.
Okay.
So for them to remain dominant, and we must realize that when fertilization occurs, following intercourse, your male partner always releases millions of sperm. So they always ask us, why do you need all these millions of sperm? So imagine there are so many sperm available to fertilize, and they're going to ovulate at more or less the same time because of the hormones. And because there are millions of sperms available to fertilize, and they're just 2 eggs or 3, of course they're all going to get fertilized, and they get implanted and grow. So that's just, in a nutshell, what happens for fraternal twins. Whereas with the identical twins, it's just one egg.
Yes.
The millions of sperm are still there, but unfortunately, out of those millions, only one is going to fertilize the egg. And under certain mechanisms, you find what happens normally is that even that egg, it tends to divide. So it's under some stage, something happens, and instead of it dividing to remain one cell, it now divides and becomes into 2 different individuals.
And what about the cases of especially triplets? Because again, we see them, they look so much alike, it's very difficult to tell them apart. It's still the same mechanism. So the egg, of course, divides into then 3. Okay.
So you'll find you have variants for triplets. You could have a pair that's identical and one that's fraternal. You could find they're all identical.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so amazing what can happen. Yeah.
Okay. And then again, so this happens immediately, because that case of where one is older than the other by 5 days, all right? Because initially she thought she only had one, and then the next time she went for a scan, they were told they're twins, and one is older than the other by 5 days. How does that happen?
Okay. I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
Did she deliver on the 20th?
No, they were delivered all of them the same time.
The other time on the same time.
Yeah, but I think in terms of conception,
I was trying to understand. What are you on about?
No, during conception, one was, I think, conceived 5 days earlier than the other. That is what the doctors say. Because when they delivered, she delivered all of them at the same time.
Okay. There are very many interesting findings. We even... so let me first tackle your story, and then I'll tell you another interesting story.
Okay.
It is possible that one egg was delayed, that is possible.
Okay.
And it got fertilized a bit later than the other one.
Okay.
But you find that in most cases when they're doing the size of the baby, their measurements. Now, these are two distinct individuals. It's unlikely the two distinct individuals are going to have the exact same measurements at the exact same time. So that 5 day apart, most probably on ultrasound, is not so much that she conceived at a different time. The most likely thing is that ovulation occurred. And they were conceived more or less within the same window. But because of the measurements, you find that they'll say that this one is a bit bigger and this one is a bit smaller. However, we have a textbook of obstetrics, and it's called Williams. And that Williams, I distinctly remember there's a page of a Caucasian American lady who was pregnant with twins, and one was white and one was black. And what had happened was that I think she had been intimate with her husband, and his sperm were available to fertilize an egg. And unfortunately, she got raped by somebody else, and it was a black American, an African American, and she now got twins of two different races. So theoretically, it is possible that at two different instances, but remembering that there's always the window of implantation. The eggs, once ovulated, will only stay for 24 hours. However, sperm can stay even up to 3 days in the system. So most probably what happened was, because I don't think after a rape incident, she may have felt like being intimate. She must have been intimate with her husband first. And his sperm was still in the system before she ovulated. And the unfortunate incident occurred around the time.
So then does it happen to most people? Or it's just like a rare case where this happens? Because then I also know of, I mean, they're not Kenyans, they're Americans, of course. But for them, I think the case was not rape, but they're two, twins. One is black and one is white, and same mother. I think they were saying the same father, if I'm not wrong. So one is white and one is black again.
Again, that can also happen because you can remember, like, Americans have a long history of, I don't know, interracial relationships. So you find somebody may look Caucasian, but they have
some bit of like
black American, and you find in this particular person, this gene comes out stronger than other people. So even you look, so somebody looks, the mother is white, the father is white, and
but there's
and you're like,
there's a mixed race
baby
here.
Not even mixed, it looks completely African. And you're like, okay,
what happened here?
That can happen. So it's also understanding that in certain people, it just depends on how the genes have been mixed. And most probably, to me, the explanation could be that maybe they were both of mixed race, but probably just didn't know. And this person just happened to get everything, and voila, there we are.
The baby came. All right. And back in the country, I mean, does environment also play a role? Because we know, and especially in the western part of Kenya, there's so many cases of, twins, not even twins, of multiple pregnancies where one has like 3, 4, at times 5. So, is environment, or what usually happens, aside from genetics, of course, playing a role, what are some of the other factors that also play a role in terms of multiple pregnancies? Because we know in Western, that is where we have high number of multiple pregnancies.
I think it would be the same thing as probably the Nigerians. And probably just a genetic predisposition. And the way we have sickling trait and things like that. So for me, I think it'll be purely mostly genetic. I don't see how your environment, the only thing that you can change in your environment, and which is now becoming very popular, is obviously for somebody who's undergoing fertility treatment. They may not have twins, but because of the fertility treatment, they have a higher chance of getting multiple pregnancies. But I say that with caution because a lot of women come to me seeking fertility treatment so that we can give them twins. And what we are saying is like the average incidence of twins is between 1% and 5%. So depending on where you are. So if it's 1 to 5%, even if we say it's 5%, maybe by taking the fertility treatment, we're just going to increase it maybe to like something like 7, max, double it 10%. So it's not that now because you've taken the fertility treatment, so you're now going to get twins or triplets and what.
Okay.
Other than doing probably, so that is if you're just taking the normal oral, other than doing IVF, and even if doing IVF, unless it's a very old couple or people who have been having trouble conceiving, we're actually advised to try to transfer fewer embryos so that we don't give multiple gestation, because again, I know it's very romantic and sounds fantastic to have twins, but the aim of the person doing a fertility treatment is to have a baby. And twins do come with their own complications. And you also don't want to now give them the complications of twins, that they end up losing the pregnancy and not now fulfilling what their desire was.
Okay. But suppose, let's say someone doesn't have like fertility issues and all those things, but they just want to have multiple babies, like twins or triplets. Can they just come, do an IVF and say, I want twins or triplets? Is that possible?
To answer the question, yes, it is possible.
All right.
But is it also practical? I mean, it's something that we just need to counsel the person, because other than making like commercial, like, and I think it's very fashionable now, there are these designer babies, which were is possible, but at what cost?
Yeah, because IVF is also very expensive.
So sometimes it's just, it just sounds romantic, and you'd have to talk to parents of twins to actually realize it's not as rosy,
as easy.
It's not as rosy as it sounds.
Okay, all right, and then, do you know earlier that, and especially this is like earlier in pregnancies that you're carrying, or you have multiple babies? Do you know earlier, or it takes time for you to know, or are there signs? Because sometimes people can just look at someone, especially when they're pregnant, and be like, oh, my baby twins, or the other will be like, are we my baby triplets? You know, and all those things. So can you just tell it by seeing someone who's pregnant, or how soon can you tell that you're carrying multiple pregnancies?
Obviously, early pregnancy, I think you'd have to be a wizard to just look at somebody and say, oh, these are twins. But there are symptoms that you say, like, for example, if somebody has had a baby before and they're the symptoms of pregnancy, you find that they'll be more exacerbated, they'll be much more severe than with a single pregnancy. So if you find things like nausea, vomiting, you find, because your hormone levels are much higher than with one baby. But later in the pregnancy, you can suspect, because obviously you see somebody's abdomen is looking much bigger than how you'd expect it. But twins are not the only reason why somebody's abdomen will be bigger than how you expected, but it would be a common reason and something to think about. So for us, it's normally when we see the woman during the clinic, we tend to measure the rate of growth. So you find the growth, it's faster or much bigger than what we expect, we can suspect, and we'll do the obvious thing, which is obviously to do a scan and find out. We are nowadays doing what we call dating scans. So that's usually done in the first trimester. So you find, because we've done that, a lot of people, we've picked up twins very early in the pregnancy. The challenge comes in that we have what we call vanishing twins.
Syndrome,
vanishing twins. So whereby we saw a twin in the early gestation. Unfortunately, she's miscarried one of the twins, and the other twin is still alive. So it's like, what happened?
What happened?
So it's just that she's miscarried, and this other baby has not continued, and the other one has continued. So you find, because of that, we're not able to pick that up more. So you find some people have one baby, but maybe they actually started the pregnancy with twins. Never know.
Okay. And then again, so detecting earlier, or just detecting, all right, earlier, does it sort of help in terms of managing like complications that might arise later on?
Okay, it's, I would say yes, because you now have a higher index of suspicion,
yeah.
On terms of whatever is happening, and you'll be more careful. I mean, we're careful with all our pregnant moms, but obviously, the time it's twins, you'll have to take that extra care again.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So we need to take a very short break. But then again, when we come back, of course, there's that aspect of complications that we talked about, where, of course, like you said, it's not all rosy, all easy. Of course, the levels of complications that come with the same. So, of course, we'd want to focus on the same. And can you sort of do something to get twins? Because we've had so many myths, and I'll tell you. The ones that I've had,
I'd like to hear them.
like to hear the things that you can do to increase your chances of getting twins. But anyway, if you have any other question in relation to today's topic, and that is on multiple pregnancies, then feel free to call us live or 0791478990, or alternatively send us a text message on 40920. We'll be answering your questions after this very short break. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. Glad you're still with us. This is My Doctor, and today we're focusing on a really, really interesting topic, and that is on multiple pregnancies. And I'm pretty sure you've heard, different people say different things about, getting pregnant with twins. Others want it, others actually tell you, I do not, and then all of a sudden they have twins, and it's really, really interesting how this comes about. And like we said, if you have any question in relation to the same, we're live, so that means you can call in anytime. The number is 0791478990, or send us a text message on 40920, and of course we'll be answering your questions very, very shortly. I can see a number of them, but before that, that aspect of things that you can do to increase your chances of getting pregnant, not pregnant, pregnant with twins, all right? And one of the things that I had is take a lot of cheese, all right? So it's even your pizza or just cheese on its own, take a lot of cheese. You will get twins or triplets or all those things. And then something else was potatoes, Irish potatoes. Take a lot of them, because they're saying there's a country where their staple food is potatoes, and they have so many twins. So that is what they were saying. Eat a lot of potatoes, you will get twins. Is there any level of truth in them or no?
Okay, I think even without any research, if you look at where we've said the highest incidence, they're not traditional cheese eating countries.
Okay.
And the same with potatoes. You're claiming that you have a high incidence in Western Kenya. But where the potato eaters, they're not in Western.
They're not in Western,
so I'm not seeing how that theory of yours is working out. Okay. However, I also have not done particular research to know whether there are actually more twins in Western than somewhere else.
All right. Okay.
So that one is a rumor.
Yeah, that's not true.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have
and
the
way
numbers.
we're now getting ready to start eating a lot of cheese and potatoes. Anyway.
Just enjoy the cheese and potatoes.
Yeah?
Those are awesome.
Oh, yeah. They're really nice. Okay. Something else. Height. They're saying taller women have a higher chance of getting twins as compared to average or shorter women. No?
I don't think there's any wrong.
Okay, all right. And of course, the other thing of school was, on race and all those things which we have tackled. Okay, so and questions, we have one. This one says, I had a miscarriage because of one twin was dead and the other one was good. What could be the cause?
Okay.
Yeah, she had twins. One.
Okay, again,
died and then she had a miscarriage. Yeah.
It's challenging to answer that question. In terms of our need to know the gestation, so that we really clarify what exactly was happening. If it was early gestation, normally and it's some of those things that we really don't understand, like the vanishing twin, because in nature, if something has died, the natural thing is for it to expel. So maybe early, if she had started bleeding and she's contracting, that's probably why she lost both pregnancies. Later in pregnancy, we have what we call twin-twin transfusion system syndrome. Sorry. So in that case, you find that, especially especially with identical twins, that their blood supply, they share like vessels. So you find that if one twin dies, it's like there are toxins that are being released, and even like the blood supply is compromised, and it's going to affect the other baby. So the other baby can also die. So I really have to get more from her to be able to have a proper discussion with her, and but we'll say sorry for her loss and just encourage her to try again.
All right. And then this one says, good morning. Sorry, I'm out of topic, but let me just ask. Okay. So is there any possibility of someone who had a series of abortion of up to 6 times to conceive again?
Okay.
Yeah.
One, that's somebody who I'll say, us as the medical fraternity, we've had 6 missed opportunities, okay? Whereby in terms of either we were not, I don't know whether they were spontaneous also, or the challenge we have in Kenya is the moment we hear the word abortion, everybody knows that was a termination of pregnancy. So regardless whether they were spontaneous or induced, anyone can still have a chance of pregnancy. However, if you find that she's in a relationship, especially if she's under 35, has been having regular intercourse, that's about 3 times per week, not on any contraception, and she's not conceiving, better she goes sees a doctor earlier. We see how they can assist her, rather than just waiting and imagining and hoping what is not happening or what is happening.
Okay. But then again, in terms of, and still on the same, of course, there's the aspect of induced. But then again, we've had cases of people who, of course, procure abortions in a very unsafe and, backdoor, means. So of course, for such a person, and of course, you don't know what's happening in terms of course, to get the baby, do you say baby? Yeah, to get the baby out. So they could sort of mess up with the uterus and all those things. Is it possible again for them? Because we've had so many cases of people who procured abortion.
So not trying to support termination of pregnancies, maybe in medical conditions, it should be considered. But other than that, I'd also like people to be able to move on. So unless she had a severe complication, and yes, it is a possibility that the uterus can be damaged during those procedures. But it's not to say that everyone and anyone who's had a backdoor abortion is not going to be able to have children. So women go through a lot, and before they come to such decisions, it's very difficult for them. What I'd like people is to move on from the past. Just follow what I've said, that you've been trying, it's not working out. If you feel you have that history, it can have a bearing to your future fertility. Better you get checked sooner. Later, we see how we can assist you.
Okay. All right. Now, can we talk about then, because you said earlier on, of course, all pregnancies are precious, and of course, as medical practitioners and the mother as well, you have to sort of ensure that the mother is okay and the baby is okay, to try as much as possible and make the pregnancy as easy and smooth as possible. So for multiple pregnancy, I mean a person with multiple babies, twins, triplets, quadruplets, and so on and so forth, do they need like extra care? And if so, what? And especially, let's start with the mother. What are some of the things or changes she has to make to ensure that everything is okay and she is okay as well?
Okay. So if I to look at it, the biggest enemy of a multiple gestation is preterm birth. Okay? And I think it goes without saying that the higher the number of pregnancies, so like if we're 3, they tend to deliver earlier than somebody who has twins. If they're 4, they'll deliver earlier than somebody who has triplets. If they're 5, they'll deliver earlier than somebody who has quadruplets. Okay? So, and you find that majority of twins will come there about between 36 and 37 weeks. Triplets will come into the tune of that 32, 33 weeks, and so forth and so forth. And that is why we really don't encourage, because the younger the gestation, when the more severe the prematurity is, the less the chance of survival for the baby, and even the higher the chance of complications for the mother. So it's challenging, but that's the enemy, and that's what we really don't want to advocate for high order. I'll call them high order pregnancy. Even twins comes with its own complications. Now, even in a normal pregnancy, you stand the risk of bleeding, whether it's before or after. That risk is heightened when you have a twin and the higher the pregnancy. So everything, whether it's blood pressure of pregnancy, whether it's diabetes of pregnancy, whether it's having excess water in the womb, any single complication you think that can happen, even in a single pregnancy, the chances are higher and worse. And what is going to happen will be worse in a multiple gestation. So yes, when you meet it, it's there, you're going to manage the situation as best you can. Okay? And our role is always to see how far we can take the mother in the pregnancy, because the longer she can stay pregnant, the better the chances for both, especially for the children. For the children, the earlier she delivers, the more chances of complications for the children, and even possibility of death for the children, because 24 weeks. It's very, very rare that a 24-week pregnancy is going to be delivered, even in a very good setting, and go home.
Okay, but then again, and this is in terms of weight. Of course, when you're pregnant, there's that standard weight that, let's say, you're supposed to gain during pregnancy, and not over, not under. So for multiple gestation, then what happens? Because you can imagine you're kind of like
she's going to be off the charts, because one, they're 2, 3. These things are happening more. You're retaining more fluid. So she's not going to follow the same way somebody with one baby is going to follow. So you have to take that into account in terms of when you're calculating the weight gain.
What about diet? Food, because we've had so many people say, you know, we are eating for two.
Eating for two.
Yes, or so you can imagine if this person has like twins or triplets, then what happens in terms of let's say the amount of food that one is supposed to take in, let's say, a day.
So obviously with pregnancy, you find your nutritional requirements for yourself will be higher, so that you're able to support the growth of the baby. However, the placenta, I say, is one of the most efficient organs ever created by God. It is a very efficient organ. So you'll find that even if you're in a drought-stricken place, as long as the woman is pregnant and the baby is inside, the baby is going to grow normally, because the baby will take from your bone, it will take from wherever, whatever nutrients. The placenta is able to facilitate metabolism in your body, such that you'll be losing weight, but the baby is growing fine. The baby is growing fine. The challenge comes is the moment the babies come, you now have to feed them. So that's when all these problems start setting in. It is obvious that if the mother is in good nutritional status, you're going to deliver a much healthier baby. But somehow the placenta is able to overcome some of these challenges and still deliver relatively normal cells. So it's really a myth about eating for two, whether they'll be triplets, quadruplets, quintuplets. However, you as yourself, because of that higher energy requirement from yourself, you'll tend to feel like you need to eat more. So I'm not saying that you don't eat more, but you don't need to eat for two.
I mean, they're not like a whole being.
You know, there's people take it literally.
We're like, we are eating for two, so don't. All right. But then again, in terms of then the nutrition consumption, aspect of it, because again, this is like several of them, and of course all of them need the same amount of nutrition, I would say, as of course a singleton. So do you have to sort of put foods high in nutrition more, let's say, on your plate, as compared to just the fact that, well, I'm eating for two, so if you're eating burgers, you're eating like 3 of them because you're eating for
there's no need. It's just you should just, like, what is normally advised is probably just add maybe say an extra meal. You understand? And even like for most of the pregnant women, I normally advise them to just have small meals. You find even the space, because you can manage triplets at term. They're pressing on your tummy. even that space to get that food,
the food, yeah,
it may not go in.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And then again, in terms of exercise, because of course pregnant women are told to try as much as possible and not just sit or be sedentary, try as much as possible and be active. So for then such a person, because I'm imagining, I mean, they're carrying so much weight, you know, with them. So in terms of exercise, do we go all in or try
Okay.
and just go with your
Again,
body?
it's really understanding, and that is why we say that we should start clinic as soon as possible,
All right.
so that you've already started covering some of these bases. Now, the challenge with being sedentary is things like clots. I think you've heard so many cases of people went hospital, had a delivery, went home after 3 days, hospital, ICU, and it's clots. It's because of being sedentary. It's obviously very difficult. Even with one baby, when you're near term, it's like, whew, when is this story ending?
Yeah.
You're at your wit's end.
Yeah.
So you can imagine now you have two. Or 3 or even 4. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So you find if you've been more active earlier in the earlier part of the pregnancy, you're more likely to be more active in the later part of the pregnancy. So as you said, the trend now is to really encourage women to be more active, during pregnancy, and unless they have a contraindication, they're bleeding, they're draining, there's something making them not be able to do this. But if the pregnancy is going well and things like that, and it's not that we want them to go to gym, run on a treadmill. No, just simple things.
Walk around.
Take a walk. We have such a wonderful country, beautiful scenery, wonderful places. We thank God for people like Wangare Maathai. You can go to Karura and have a beautiful scenic walk in the park.
All right. Don't go too hard. Okay, because you have to take care of yourself. You know, at the end of the
clean
day.
Air.
Yes. That's okay. Yeah, I was about to go off topic a little bit with some things that I've heard about pregnancy, but it's okay. So then in terms of, because does it affect fetal growth? I mean, the more, let's say, children you're carrying, does it affect their growth? Because we've had cases of someone delivering, let's say, 3 or even twins, but one is bigger in terms of like weight and how they're growing, and then the other one is smaller. And of course, we also see such cases in, you know, triplets and quadruplets and so on and so forth. So does it affect, or what usually happens? Why do we have others who are bigger, growing normally, and this other one is much smaller? And
generally, for twins or triplets, we expect them to be a bit smaller than the same gestation, for a single pregnancy. So that's a given, that they will be smaller than what we expect for the same gestation. What you're talking about, remember, like when you asked about the miscarriage, and we talked about this twin transfusion syndrome. So you find that in some cases, you have that there's one twin is parasitic, so it's the one getting all the blood supply from the others, and the others are like
trying to sample from the other.
It's their blood supply that is being parasited on. So that that can happen. And even as you said, many twins are also fraternal. And I think you've seen it even in families that in one family you have this tall person, and then the other person is short, and you're like, are you sure the two of you are related? But I took mommy, you took daddy. So there are all those variables as to why these twins can be of various sizes. So it can happen, it's expected, but you find majority of the time, their growth, they may not be exactly the same weight, but they're within acceptable difference, and they're more or less symmetrical growth.
And then after delivery, of course, we've seen cases of, you know, jaundice and, you know, like so many times we see this case, especially with twins. What usually happens? And and what can people do? Because there's sometimes people who, let's say, deliver at home and then don't notice these things, you know, immediately. And by the time they take a child to a hospital, sometimes it's almost always too late. So what usually happens so that we have these cases of one is completely fine and this other one has to sort of go through some special care before they are released to go home?
So again, I don't know why you'd be having twins and delivering at home, unless it just came gafla too fast.
All right, okay.
You should have had a birth planner. And always, when you deliver at home, because of you're not able to maintain a very clean, sterile environment where the baby's clean, so they tend to get infection, and that would be the most common cause of actually it's an infection that's making them to get jaundiced. So again, we are still going to advise that delivery should ideally be in hospital or at least with a skilled birth attendant.
Yeah, but I've had a case of where, of course, my friend, again, twins were born. One was completely fine. The other one, had jaundice and, had to go through some sort of special care that is before they were released, at home. And one was completely fine. And you see, for us twins, of course, we expect them to be either the same, be okay, all of them, and, something like that.
Okay, so again, in terms of jaundice, the most common cause, especially if she sounded like she delivered in the hospital, so it was probably not an infection, is what we call the hemolytic disease of newborns.
Okay.
So you find it can be one because of rhesus, that's the most common.
Right.
The other can be because of ABO incompatibility, and we've said they're fraternal twins. So you may find one took mommy's blood group, so has no issue.
Okay.
The other has daddy's blood group and is having an issue from that point of view. So actually I had a similar case very recently. A very close friend of mine was having such a challenge.
Okay, so then and then we also have cases of fine. The entire pregnancy, let's say one was okay, and then delivered the babies very well, and then unfortunately one passes on. Are this due to sort of infections and all those things, or what's what usually happens? But before we answer that, we have a caller on the line. Good morning.
Hello, yes.
Hi, thank you so much for calling us. Do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, what I wanted to ask Dr. What causes conjoined twins in multiple pregnancy?
Sorry, what causes what?
Conjoined twins, I think.
Oh, conjoined twins. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other question?
No.
All right, okay. Thank you so much. Yes, conjoined twins.
So conjoined twins are, again, identical twins, okay? And that's a fantastic question. I'm really liking the question. So with identical twins, it's they're supposed to, we said it was from one embryo and they divide. Now with conjoined twins, it's like the division takes place later than expected. Right. So it's like some parts are not able to separate in time, and that's why they get stuck. So it's just things didn't happen on time, and so they remained a part of the cells remained attached together, and they developed that way.
Okay. And when is this supposed to happen in terms of the division, and so that one has their own independence in the womb? Yeah. Does it happen?
So normally it will tend to happen between 5 and 7 days in intrauterine. So it's something that happens quite early.
Way earlier. Yeah. Okay, all right. And it's nothing to do, because we've had so many stories about, witchcraft, this one did this, this one did that. That is why, all those things. And even in just normal, twins or triplets and all those things. And again, most of the time we hear this, and especially from the Western, part of the country, where they say, this one is bewitched, this is a curse, you're not supposed to have twins, and all those things. And we have really, really sad stories of the times one has to, sad. Anyway, so then that aspect of, fine, this babies are born, and then unfortunately, in one way or the other, one passes on. And this is something that we've had for so long, where people would tell you, I do not want to have twins because, well, one would die immediately after birth. What usually happens? Like, why is this the case?
In terms of cause of death, as I've said, the biggest problem with twins is prematurity. And it's just like in life. There are those people who tend to be, I don't know whether they're stronger or whether it was just luck, whether it was God's favor. Because even like for myself, that's my own personal story, whereby I'm actually a twin. But we were very, very premature, because my parents tell me I didn't even weigh a kilo at birth. My brother was actually bigger than me. what was reported was he was removed from the incubator, like because they thought he was bigger. I don't know what transpired, but all I know is that I don't have a twin, but I was born with a twin brother. So these things happen, and it's, unless you know the case, there's no one answer fits all each and every person. For us, they were more cautious with my person. I would not want to say it was negligence of the medical personnel. I don't think it was, but they thought it was a bigger baby and he could survive. And he passed on. Most of the time, it's breathing problems that the babies have because of prematurity. Their systems are immature, and the most common cause of death would be either they'll get a breathing problem, they're going to have a problem with the digestive tract, and that's another problem, and they're also very easily susceptible to any form of infection that they can get. So that is one. We talked about the issue of hemolytic disease, whether it's because of rhesus factor or whether it was because of an ABO incompatibility. Infections, heart disease. I mean, there's so many. Because we said, like, for example, they'll tend to get the diabetes of pregnancy. Now, we know that high sugars predisposes people to the children to getting heart problems. So it's I can't give you one answer that will fit all. But the common thread for majority of twins is you'll find these babies, they're born too early, and even intervention that could, had they been born a bit later, maybe they'll be a bit more stronger, more mature, and able to withstand interventions.
And the biggest concern, of course, for most people is then delivery, just to go back a little bit. Which is like the most advised? Do you go natural or do you opt for cesarean section?
Unless it's a high order pregnancy. Would still, and the main thing is how are the babies lying, okay?
All right.
Especially if the first baby is facing the right direction. Obviously, the advice would be to have a normal delivery. However, the moment the baby that is presenting is not lying in the way we expect, is having an abnormal presentation, definitely the advice is going to be have a cesarean section at delivery.
Okay, all right. But there's some cases where we might say, no, I'm going to push. I am going to. So give them a chance to.
For me, it's if there's no obstetric or medical contraindication. And for me, the moment the baby, a first twin, is having an abnormal presentation, there are much, much higher risks for both babies when we do this. Why do we want to go through higher risks in the name of pushing? I'm very much for natural birth, but in natural birth we must also be realistic. What is the outcome? I tell my mother, you're putting me responsible. You want me to make sure that your baby and you are fine end of the delivery. So if something looks like it's not going as planned the way we want, if it is safe to have the normal delivery, please, by all means, let's have a normal delivery. But if we're having challenges, just like us, let us believe our healthcare providers that we have your interest at heart and the interest of your baby. You want a normal baby at the end of the day.
At the end of the day. All right. So you see, this is a topic that we can talk and talk and talk about, but we have to end the show right now. So in terms of then your parting shot, in just multiple pregnancies in general, what are the managements that is during pregnancy and after? What would you say in like 30 seconds?
In 30 seconds?
Before we're kicked out of the studio.
Oh, they want to kick us out of the studio. I'll just let them kick us out. No. For us, it's just anyone with any pregnancy, and especially if you have a multiple pregnancy, it's difficult to know unless you've gone for checkups early. So if you're pregnant, just get checked, and for us, we'll do our best to assist you, because it's a situation. I can't decide I'm terminating the pregnancy because you're having a multiple gestation. It has complications. So the earlier you go, the earlier we find out. Probably the better chance you have of a better outcome with a multiple pregnancy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Maureen, always a pleasure. Thank you so
Likewise.
much for coming by. And of course, just helping us understand on matters multiple pregnancy. Thank you so much for staying with us as well until the end of the show. I believe you have been answered as far as multiple pregnancies is concerned. So my name is Winnie Lubembe. On behalf of the entire team who put together this show, we wish you a lovely day ahead. We'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Have yourselves a good one. Goodbye for now.